Two Chairs No Waiting, episode number 587, Andy Griffith Playhouse. Two Chairs No Waiting is brought to you each week by the folks over at weaversdepartmentstore.com. Drop by over at Weavers and get you a Floyd's Barbershop hairstyle print. That's right. You can get a hairstyle print that hangs on your wall. It looks just like the one that Floyd had on his wall. And maybe you don't want that. You just want to get a t-shirt. They got a Mayberry Squares t-shirt with 9 different characters from the Andy Griffith Show on it. It's kind of in an Andy Warhol style, or you might want to just get a wholesome t-shirt. That's right, one with Andy, Opie, and Aunt B on it. Head over to weaversdepartmentstore.com and check it out. Two Chairs No Waiting is also brought to you by donations from listeners like you. The executive producer of this episode number 587, is Randy Vinson. So thank you, Randy, for supporting the podcast. Thank you for being here with me as well. It is always fun, as I say every week, almost, just spend some time in Mayberry talking to you about the Andy Griffith Show. But you're in for a real treat to this episode because it's not just me talking. I know we always have Randy Turner. He's been doing this with me for almost 3 years, I believe. And this episode, we've got another correspondent that's going to be delivering some great information about the Andy Griffith Playhouse and basically just all kinds of things about Andy Griffith. Now, we usually talk about Andy Taylor on this show, but Andy Griffith, you know, he played Andy Taylor. So we're very interested in Andy and Don Knotts and the cast members as well. So we're going to hear a little bit of information about Andy and growing up in Mount Airy and some of the things he went through. And Jeff did an amazing job for this. I want to thank him for taking the time to record this and put it together. If you watch the video version of the podcast, you're going to see images that go along with what he's talking about. And he refers to the images a couple of times. He says, well, in this picture, you'll see this, but only a time or two. And if you don't get to watch the video version, don't feel like you're missing out on a ton, that you have to go and watch it. But if you get an opportunity to watch the video version of this podcast, I would recommend it because he's got some really cool pictures in there. So without me talking anymore, let's move on to that. We're going to hear from Jeff Koontz about the Andy Griffith Playhouse, and we're going to hear from Randy Turner about This Week in History, and we're going to talk some about the Mayberry meetup that's coming up in July, and maybe if we get an opportunity, just hit a little bit about Miss Marvel that we talked about last week. So first up, though, is our correspondent, Jeff Koontz, with his report on the Mayberry Playhouse. So, Jeff, take it away.
This is special correspondent Jeff Koontz of the Who's Been Messing Up the Bulletin Board chapter and longtime friend of numerous other chapters of the Andy Griffith Show Rerun Watchers Club. I'm here with a special report on the Andy Griffith Playhouse and a tale of more than 2 chairs. The Andy Griffith Playhouse is the home of the Surrey Arts Council. It opened in 1975 as Mount Airy's new performing arts center with classrooms and administrative offices, and now includes space for permanent and rotating exhibits. The Andy Griffith Playhouse was originally the auditorium of the Rockford Street School. The school was built in 1904 in the neoclassical revival architectural style. It was located a few blocks from downtown and sits at a high enough elevation where you can see Pilot Mountain 13 miles away. Over a span of 70 years, thousands of Mount Airy children attended the Rockford Street School. This archival photo captures a moment in time with a class picture and an interesting observation by the historian. 2 noted alumni of the Rockford Street School are in this 2004 photo, Andy Griffith on the right and his classmate and best friend, Emmett Forrest. You can see their class picture in the Andy Griffith Museum. This photo was taken around the time that Andy and Emmett were students. Andy attended Rockford Street School from 1932 to 1940, 1st through 7th grades. As a young adult, Andy also performed in the auditorium of the Rockford Street School with the Mount Airy Operetta Club. In 2002, Andy returned to Mount Airy. He was inside the playhouse and sat down in a particular seat. He reminisced about the day he was sitting in the same spot in the old auditorium for a school assembly, and his friend tricked him into singing a solo on stage in front of the class. He told Andy, "We'll go up and sing together." and when it was their turn, Andy started toward the stage and realized it was just him. But even at that young age, he knew the show must go on and sang, "Put on your old gray bonnet." It was that performance and the reaction from his classmates that inspired him to become an entertainer. From a schoolboy prank to a storied career in theater, comedy, stage, television, movies, and music, it all began on the stage of the Rockford Street School auditorium. Andy grew up just a half mile from the school. His house is near the corner of Haymore and Rock. Breakfast. Andy Griffith Show fans will recognize that intersection mentioned in the final black and white episode as a school crossing, which it would have been for Andy and walking with his friends when he attended the Rockford Street School. Andy returned to his home place with his wife Cindy when they were in town for the dedication of the Andy Griffith Parkway in 2002. In 1974, a new elementary school was built and the Rockford Street School was closed. The building was demolished except for the auditorium, which was renovated to become a new performing arts center for the city. The Arts Council offices and classrooms were also constructed at this time. In 1975, it was named the Andy Griffith Playhouse and continues to provide entertainment, arts education, and artistic opportunities to the community, as well as visitors from around the world who come to Mount Airy. In 1975, Andy wrote the following letter of gratitude to his hometown. "There's a need in all of us for self-expression, and I'm glad that the artistic talents of the young people in Mount Airy are being recognized and developed through the efforts of the Surrey Arts Council. The opportunities for learning and performing at the old Rockford Street School merit the full support of the community. I am pleased and honored that the people of Mount Airy have named its community theater after me. This gesture of affection is deeply appreciated. Andy Griffith." This was first printed in the program for the Mount Airy Community Theater's 1976 production of Fiddler on the Roof. The text is now an exhibit featured inside the lobby of the Playhouse. As an entertainer, Andy Griffith recognized the importance of music and the performing arts to a community, and he continues to support the Surrey Arts Council through the Andy and Cindy Griffith Endowment. I'll save the backstory for that for another podcast. One of the biggest events around the Andy Griffith Playhouse since 1990 is Mayberry Days. It's an annual celebration of the Andy Griffith Show, bringing thousands of fans to Andy's hometown. This 2002 crowd scene in front of the Playhouse may not be as common today, but only because people are now spread out at the festival events happening at other Surrey Arts Council venues. Visit mayberrydays.com and make plans to attend this year. You can go back to the Two Chairs podcast archives to hear great stories from Alan about other past festivals. Mayberry Days was extra special in 2004 with Andy Griffith attending for the dedication of the TV Land landmark statue of Andy and Opie in Mount Airy. The statue has a permanent home at the Andy Griffith Playhouse. The installation features Mount Airy granite from the world's largest open-face granite quarry, located 1.5 miles from the Playhouse. This photo captures another moment in time before Andy Griffith was again a part of the changing scenery around the Playhouse. In 2009, the Andy Griffith Museum was constructed next to the Playhouse. It's the permanent home for Emmett Forrest's collection of memorabilia that highlights Andy's life and career. The museum even has props from the show that Andy and other cast members of the Andy Griffith Show gave to Emmett. Admission to the museum also includes 4 other exhibits located in the Andy Griffith Playhouse and in the historic Earl Theater, which is another Surrey Arts Council venue. Go to the museum website at andygriffithmuseum.com for more information and dates when you can meet Mount Airy resident Betty Lynn, who was the actress who played Barney Fife's true love, Thelma Lou. With your ticket to the museum, be sure to go downstairs to the Andy Griffith Museum Theater and see the Mayberry mural painted by Greensboro artist Chip Holton. If you're attending the Mayberry meetup, this is also where Professor Brower's lecture is held. In 2004, the Andy Griffith Playhouse was updated with a new electronal marvel, as Barney Fife would say. The digital marquee is featured prominently on Rockford Street in front of the Playhouse. The original marquee was relocated behind the Andy Griffith Museum at the corner of Pine Street and Carl Lee Griffith Court, another Mount Airy road named after a Griffith. This one would be for Andy's father, Carl. Speaking of being updated, we come to the inspiration for this report. In 2016, the Surrey Arts Council replaced all the seats in the Andy Griffith Playhouse. They saved more than 2 chairs from the original 1975 Playhouse seats and even some original wooden chairs from the Rockford Street School Auditorium. The seats pictured here now need a new home. If you're looking for something fun and historic for your home theater or Mayberry room, a set of these chairs would be the perfect addition, especially for watching the Andy Griffith Show. Now, there's no way of verifying that Andy Griffith ever sat in any of these seats, but then again, we can't say that he didn't at one time. There were plenty of school assemblies at the Rockford Street School when Andy was a student. If you're interested in purchasing any of these seats, please contact the Surrey Arts Council at arts@surreyarts.org and make them a generous offer. The money from their sale goes to support Mayberry Days and other arts programming throughout the year. Alan will have links and contact information in the show notes. Well, this is Jeff Koontz thanking you for joining me in this look back in history of the Andy Griffith Playhouse and its connections to Andy Griffith, with a special opportunity to acquire and preserve a part of that history. Now back to Alan in the Two Chairs studio.
Thank you, Jeff. Wow. I hope you guys got to see all that. If you were watching it, you got to see the videos and the pictures, or not videos, but the pictures on the video. He did a great job. There was a lot of stuff there I never knew. Now, he's talking about the chairs. So the chairs are the chairs from the theater, from the Andy Griffith Playhouse. So they still have some of the old wooden ones. Now, I've been sitting in those for years because they're backstage at the Andy Griffith Playhouse, kind of in the green room area, I guess, near the dressing rooms. There's 4 chairs on each side, I believe. There may be more than that. But we sit back there and wait to come on stage or to do something like that. So they're backstage. Really neat. Now, those are the original chairs, like would have been when Andy was there, that he would have sat in. And they also have some of the orange padded seats that they had for years. I guess the whole time I'd been going to Mayberry Days until 2016, I believe Jeff said it was. So if you'd like to have a little piece of Mayberry history, Andy Griffith Playhouse history, you might want to contact them at arts, A-R-T-S, arts, plural, at surreyarts.com. Okay, so go check that out. Not com, .org. Said it wrong, .org. There'll be that website address, or that email address will be in the show notes, so you'll be able to see it there. Great job, Jeff. Really do. That was awesome. I enjoyed seeing that. So let me go ahead and hit this really quick. The Mayberry meetup is coming up the weekend of July 17th through the 19th of 2020. Okay, so we're still going to have it. So I sent out emails this week with information to everybody that signed up, and there's about 95 people that have signed up. So we're going to have it because it's an outdoor thing. So it's outside at the Mayberry Motor Inn around the gazebo there, right? So we've done this. This will be our 8th year, the 8th year of the Mayberry meetup. And I feel like we can separate a little bit and keep our social distance a little bit, and everybody can stay safe. I don't want anybody getting sick or anything happening to anybody. So everybody's going to, take care of themselves, wash their hands, make sure they cover their mouth and nose if they cough or sneeze or anything like that. Make sure if you don't feel good, don't come, don't get everybody sick. But I feel like this is a good opportunity for Mayberry fans. We'll be able to get together and visit. I feel safe enough doing this. I feel like we've learned enough to how to try to avoid becoming sick for everybody to be able to do that during all this COVID stuff. Somebody's going to listen to this podcast 10 years from now and go, what in the world is he talking about? So anyway, we're looking forward to it. If you haven't signed up, you can head over to the Facebook page and you can sign up there. And you don't have to have signed up to be coming, but it would be nice for you because you'll be able to get the email updates and everything that I'm going to put out. Okay. Anyway, so we'll talk about this maybe at the end of the show or in another podcast next week or so. But I just wanted to bring that up and say I'm looking forward to seeing everybody that can make it. But I want you to come only if you feel safe doing so. Okay. All right. So let's go on over and hear from Randy Turner with This Week in Mayberry History.
Welcome to This Week in Mayberry History, a report by Special Correspondent Randy Turner of the Gomer and Cooper Pyle Comic Book Literary Guild of the Mayberry Historical Society.
Ross Elliott is not the most prominent actor to appear in Mayberry, but he had an impressive and interesting career long before he was seen in the Andy Griffith Show. Ross was born in the Bronx in New York City on June the 18th, 1917. He became interested in the theater while a teenager and appeared frequently in plays during high school and at summer camps. Ross attended the City College of New York, where he took courses in law, but participated in the school's dramatic society during the school year and appeared in summer stock productions during his breaks. Upon graduation in 1937, he decided not to attend law school and instead pursue his love of acting. Ross, whose birth name was actually Elliott Bloom, adopted Ross Elliott as a stage name when he began performing in New York theater. He made his Broadway debut in 1937 in Mercury Theater's inaugural production, Caesar, a modern dress version of Shakespeare's Julius Caesar. As a member of Orson Welles' famed Mercury Theater group of actors, Ross also appeared in 2 other Mercury Theater Broadway productions and one that did not reach the Great White Way. The Mercury Theater was also active in radio, where they had their own series called The Mercury Theater on the Air. Ross was part of the cast of the radio show's most famous broadcast, the adaptation of H.G. Wells' novel, The War of the Worlds, broadcast live on October the 30th, 1938. After leaving the Mercury Theater, Ross first toured nationally in the play What a Life, the production that introduced the character of Henry Aldrich, which eventually led to the popular radio series. He then returned to Broadway in the 1940 comedy Morning Star. Ross enlisted in the United States Army in 1941, 4 months before the bombing of Pearl Harbor. Thanks to his previous theater experience, he spent most of his military career performing in various touring shows designed to keep his fellow troops entertained. In 1942, while still serving, he appeared in the Irving Berlin wartime comedy This Is the Army, which was designed to boost morale of the public during World War II. This led to Ross's movie debut when he appeared in the film adaptation of the review in 1943. When Ross returned to civilian life, in 1946 he toured with the post-Broadway show Apple of His Eye, then moved to Los Angeles to pursue a film career after the show closed. Ross was quickly cast in a small role in the 1947 crime drama film about the KKK, The Burning Cross. After a larger supporting role in another film in 1948, in 1949 he became quite a busy actor, appearing in 5 films, followed by 7 more in 1950 and 5 more in 1951. In 1951, Ross also began working in television. He made his debut in an episode of the early television miniseries, The Life of Christ. By 1952, Ross also became even more active in television, making the first of 2 appearances in The Lone Ranger. That same year, in spite of eventually appearing hundreds of times on television, Ross had the role for which he is likely best remembered. It was a one-time performance, but it is remembered for the fame of the episode itself. In his first of 5 eventual appearances in I Love Lucy, Ross played the television director in the classic episode Lucy Does a TV Commercial, in which Lucy tries to effectively advertise Vitamita Vegemin, which was 23% alcohol. In film, Ross played one of the leads in the 1953 drama Problem Girls, with the tagline, "Why do so many rich girls go so wrong?" He appeared in the 1954 theatrical movie Dragnet, starring Jack Webb as Sergeant Joe Friday, and in Ma and Pa Kettle at Home, the sixth and most successful installment of the movie franchise. In 1956, Ross had a substantial supporting role in the Cinescope war romance film D-Day, the 6th of June. In episodic TV, Ross appeared in a 1955 episode of Francis Bobbiet's series It's a Great Life. That same year, Ross returned to I Love Lucy to play the recurring role of Ricky Ricardo's publicity agent. He appeared in more than half a dozen episodes as different characters in the George Burns and Gracie Allen show in the mid-50s. And Ross played Virgil Earp, the older brother of the title character, in The Life and Legend of Wyatt Earp in 4 episodes during 1958 and 1959. After such a busy decade of acting, among Ross's many performances in the early part of the next decade, he appeared in the classic 1961 Mayberry episode, The Clubman. He played Tom Wilson, the member of the Esquire Club who came to Mayberry to tell Andy he had been accepted into the club, but Barney had not. This is the episode of the Andy Griffith Show which most fans might remember Ross from, but it was not his only appearance in the series, as we'll detail in next week's installment. Well, that's it for this week. As always, thanks for listening, and remember to stay safe, watch out for one another, and take Andy's advice and act like somebody.
Thank you, Randy. Well, I knew nothing about this. This is great. So, Randy, thank you for providing that. If you want to make sure you don't miss out on all the things that Randy comes up with and does about the Andy Griffith Show in the Mayberry community, send him an email at turnersgrade@gmail.com, turnersgrade@gmail.com, and he'll make sure you don't miss out on any of the great information he's always coming up with. That was absolutely great. I knew nothing about Mr. Elliott. I knew nothing. So that's great. Thank you, Randy. So, wow, Jeff and Randy, thank you both for being a part of the show. Let's talk a little bit more about the meetup. We're basically done with the show. So if you don't want to hear about the meetup, feel free to skip to next week or go back and listen to last week's episode, because I guess we could talk about that really quick. I haven't gotten any real feedback from anybody that they figured out who Marvel, whatever her name was. We haven't found out what her name is yet. So if you didn't hear last week's podcast, Nice Dress Nellie, we came up with the idea that her name might be Marvel something, right? So you go and listen to last week's episode if you haven't listened to it. And, Nice Dress Nellie, we think we may know her name. Now, Dennis Shane did write in and say that every time he's brought this up in the last 10 years, he got shot down trying to talk about this lady. And he said, here she is. There's a picture he has of her from the I Love Lucy show, the Danny Thomas show, and the Dick Van Dyke show. She was on all of those different shows. So Dennis posted that on our Facebook page. So you can go and check that out. But I haven't gotten any confirmation or anybody for sure figured out who she was, except I did hear from Randy Turner, who confirmed that Bruce Bilson did tell him that Marvel was her first name. So it's definitely her first name. So we may really be onto something here. So great job. Marvel Lawrence is what we think her name might be. And so that's definitely something to be looking into. I know that I've gotten responses from people saying, hey, I'm looking at this, trying to figure it out. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and listen to episode number 586 about Miss Marvel. And you'll find out, and you can join the hunt as well. So this is like a treasure hunt. This is good. Trying to figure it out. All right, so let's talk about the meetup just a little bit. So the Mayberry meetup, if you don't know what that is, the Mayberry meetup, this will be our 8th year. What we do is get together at the Mount Airy, in Mount Airy at the Mayberry Motor Inn. And on Friday and Saturday night, we gather outside on the big courtyard they have. There's a gazebo and a bunch of grass and places to sit there there at the Mayberry Motor Inn. And the folks there at the Motor Inn opens arms to us and let us use this location. And we project Andy Griffith Show episodes on a big screen. It's actually a sheet held up by some metal bars that are supposed to be used for photography, I think, for a backdrop. But that's what we use, a sheet, and we project the Andy Griffith Show on this sheet. And we watch it and just enjoy each other and have a good time. So we're going to do that this year. So I definitely want to encourage you to try and come and be with us if you'd like to. It should be a lot of fun. And I do want people, if they feel the need to wear a mask if they want to. That is more than fine. Now, if you don't want to just wear a mask, though, let me give you some hints. If you don't want to wear a mask, you can wear a face covering thing, right? So at Weaver's, you can get a fishing hole bandana. It's a bandana you could tie it around your face like a Old West. You could get it. You can get a Barney face one. By the way, when you wear the Barney face one, if you fold it right, Barney's nose kind of looks like your nose, and then you have Barney's face down in front of you. It's really kind of fun. I wore it to work today. That's what I wore to work. People said, I can't take you serious when you're wearing this. I was like, this is perfect. I love it. And there's also a Lawman bandana that says the Andy Griffith Show on it. That would be cool as well. So there's some ideas, and they're not too uncomfortable, and they show your Mayberry pride off. I also want to mention you can get, believe it or not, if you go to the website links there, you can actually get a face mask or a mask that says 2 chairs, no waiting on it. And using our old design, the one you see every week on the podcast with the streets of Mayberry behind Floyd and everything, there's that design. And I've done a new design so you can get a different t-shirt this year if you'd like to, that's cleaner. It doesn't have the street behind it. So it's just the barber, Floyd there, and 2 chairs, no waiting, if you're interested. I still obviously encourage you to head over to Weaver's and buy things, but if you'd like to get some 2 chairs, no waiting stuff, there's mugs and stickers and shirts and sweatshirts and even a mask to wear to keep you safe. So the link for that is on 2chairsnowaiting.com. If you go there and scroll down a little bit on the side, you'll see a link to go and get it. And you'll be buying from a place called tpublic.com. They actually make the shirts and everything. All I did was upload the design. So anyway, if you'd like to get those, feel free to. Don't feel any obligation to do so. But these are things you might enjoy. Since you've listened all the way to the end of the podcast, you might enjoy having some of this kind of stuff. I mean, I enjoy having it, but maybe I'm because it is my podcast. Maybe that's why I like it. So head over if you'd like to. And the easiest way to find it's really to go to 2chairsnowaiting.com and scroll down, and you'll see it right on the edge of the page there. And you should be able to find it pretty easy. Just on the right side of the page if you're on your computer. Now, I'm not sure where exactly it is on the phone, but it's definitely there. And there's a picture of me wearing the t-shirt in it. So if you see that picture of me wearing the t-shirt on the right, click it and it'll take you to the merchandise page, and you'll be able to go and see the Mayberry podcast stuff. There's 2 different designs. You click either one and it'll take you and let you see everything. That's way more than you wanted to know. I know that, but if you've made it all the way to this part of the show, you actually either like it or can't get to the knob to turn it off. I'm not sure. I'm not sure which it is, but you could let me know. You could give me a call at 888-684-8415 and let me know what you thought of the podcast. Tell me how you think Jeff did. Give Jeff some kudos and yay, Jeff. So he'll do some more reports for us. And, of course, for Randy Turner as well. So, folks, I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you in particular for showing up. It's always great to have you here with me. And we'll see you next time right here on the podcast at 2chairsnowaiting.com. See you then, guys. Have a great week.